So we'll have like an overview of the strategy. Then if you have questions, we ask the questions we have. Okay, so getting started, where do we always start our analysis from?
Higher time frame.
Higher time frame. In this case, what's the higher time frame we are using?
Of mhm. I'm sorry, please. I'm eating and talking. That's so rude.
It's
Please, I'll soon,
fine. It's
I'll soon
fine.
finish.
You're only making some of our mouths water. So we are starting from the higher time frame. In this case, we like using 1 week. That's the weekly higher time frame. And then from there, we identify our major areas and possibly we also see to our direction. That's the direction of the market. So in identifying our major areas, what do we do?
We look for support and resistance.
Yeah, so how do we look for the supports and resistance?
We look for at least three matching points.
Okay, you're on point. You're very
One above, one beneath, and one around price points,
okay.
current price points.
Okay, so let's identify, right?
Yes.
Okay. There's something actually that I was expecting you pick out. Do you
Okay.
guess what that is?
I'm scanning my brain.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm
don't
thinking you're
forget.
talking about the
Line charts.
Yes, don't forget. It's easier to identify those
Mhm.
areas using your line chart. It's so much easier using your line chart. You can easily pick out those points where there is reversal very easily. So don't forget to always use your line chart. Your line chart is a very important tool. Okay, it looks like the charts are still loading or the chart is still loading, but let's just use what we have. Okay, so let's use what we have. Let's identify our major area. This is the major, that's the peak. I'm picking out another area. Okay. Okay. And if I'm going above, so change back to candles. Is there anything you're noticing here? Is there any, is there anything you're noticing here?
Ouch. Yes.
What do you notice? What do you notice? What do you see?
I've forgotten the name that you call it.
Okay.
Double head. There's
Double
a name you call it.
Double top.
Yes, there's the name. I'm
Yeah,
trying
me too.
to double top,
Yes.
double top
Stop,
or
yeah.
double bottom.
So the double top is just having more like two heads, 2 points where price came to almost at the same level and price turned back. Now you have this point and you have this point, right? So the likely chance is that price is going to push lower, especially if price breaks the neckline. Welcome. Welcome this morning to MaxSat. We are glad to have you in the house after a week.
And rising.
Wealthy rising.
Wealthy.
Okay, so we have the double tops. And one thing that is common with double top is if it breaks the neckline, the chances are that it will continue to push lower. So we just want to take advantage of the double top at the moment and see if it will actually continue coming down or if it will push above the most recent high, create a new low, and then we continue upward. Now, we have no decision in this case, as per we are still on weekly. We are only identifying our areas of support, resistance, and we want to do one that is above where price is, one that is below where price is, and one that is around where price is, which we've done already. Now, the next thing you probably may want to identify here is the fact that you want to see the most likely direction of the market. And in this case, we have this. Do we agree?
Yes.
We have the first touch, second touch, third one, and we have a fourth one. So indirectly, for the moment, what we are seeing in the market is making a low, a high, a higher low, a high, and
Higher
of course
low.
it broke this one, but it created another low here and then started a new trajectory, created a high, higher low, high, higher low, high, higher low. What we expect is probably a new higher high, but we've not seen that. And that is one of the reasons why we are considering the double tops. Okay. So we have our areas, our supports and resistance, we have them identified. We also have an idea where the market is most likely headed. So the next thing you want to do is check with the next time frame, which in this case is the daily time frame, to see if what we have drawn is relatively accurate. You want to have that in mind. You want to check how accurate what you have drawn is. And so far, so good. Would you agree with me that relatively, these lines are relatively accurate? Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, me too.
So we have the upper point, that's the resistance, and then we have this lower area, which is now the support in this case. So still, it looks to me as if price is heading upward, but it has not broken the most recent high, which is this case. And as long as it doesn't break it, it means that we cannot make a decision to say that price is going up. Can we hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So as long as it doesn't break this high, we cannot make the decision to say that price is continuing upward. There's a very high chance that price is going to push lower. So all of that will decide it on the next time frame. But take note of this. Price came to this point, turned back, came to this point, turned back, and then it created what here? It created a low, right? It created a low here. Can we see that?
Yes.
So I want to mentally take note of this low. We'll see what happens with it on the next time frame, which is when we are now deciding what to do with the trade. Now, in this case, now we have our high here, right? When are we going to decide that price is going to continue upward? At what point are we going to say that price is likely going to continue pushing upward? At what point are we going to say that price is likely going to push upward? When it breaks this point, right?
Yes.
So our
When the most
expectation,
recent high has been violated.
exactly. So when the high is violated, in this case, that will be here. But can you also notice, or do you also notice something else, maybe around here? Do you also notice something around here? Price broke through and started dancing. Broke through, started dancing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
Yes.
kept on doing that for a long time. Eventually, it has broken through it,
Return.
came back to
Yeah.
it, right?
We
Came
tested.
back to it,
Yes.
wicked
Yeah.
out, but there was now a jump in market. Market was supposed to open around here, but instead it came and opened down here. So that's a jump. And that
Okay.
happened
Yeah.
over the weekend. So that's a jump. So what we are looking for now,
Yeah.
as price has come back to this area, we want to see a rejection on this side. If price continues to push back into this area, then there is no trade. Am I making any sense?
Yes.
If price continues to push back into this area, there is no trade. But if there is a rejection from this side, let's say as it came back here, we have a rejection, then we have a candlestick that confirms our, bearish movement. The candlesticks that we are looking for is a variation of our railroad, hanging man, or hammer kind of
Engulfing.
candlesticks, pin bar candlesticks, and the third one being an engulfing candlestick. Any of those three, any of the combination of those three will tell us that price is likely going to push lower. It is at that point when you have seen it and it is confirmed that you now take a sell. So in this case, we are waiting for price to do a second rejection here and then give us our confirmation. Otherwise, we are going to just wait for this particular price, for this particular market to make its decision. Is it clear?
Yes.
Do we have questions on this?
No, for me.
So I have a few questions, and this will give me an understanding that you understand all of the things that we have been talking about over the years. Over the months rather. Please, I would want you to respond. I don't want you, and no response is wrong. It's just probably you are seeing it from a different perspective. And there's a perspective I want you to see it from. If you don't see it from that perspective, I'll go over it again. So there's no response that is wrong. I just need us to see it from a particular angle. So why would I favor, that's my first question. Why would I favor a sell in this market? Looking at it from the 4 hours. Or should I say, where should I start from? Should I start from what would I favor the most in this market? What would I favor the most in this particular chart? Would I favor a buy or would I favor a sell? I've given myself away. I said I would favor a sell. But why would I now favor a sell in this particular chart?
I'll give it a go. The
Okay,
most
please try.
recent high, we can see where the distance between the most recent high and current market price.
Mhm.
And also, we can also see that when it was ranging, it's between the same area, and market is dancing around that same area presently.
Mhm.
And if it's breaking out,
Mhm.
it's likely to break on the lower side than on the upper side,
Okay.
likely to break downwards than break upwards. And the EMA actually also is projecting downward.
Okay.
I'm not really seeing it going up. It's not above the price.
Okay.
Yeah. What else? That's all I can blab for now.
Okay. Good.
Then
So,
I'll-
we'll wait for you. When it goes round, then I'll share my thoughts also. But you are pretty much on point. Rainret, do you want to tell us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, for me, the first thing I notice is the EMA. And like she said, the most recent high has been violated. So it
Yeah.
doesn't look
Okay.
as if high is going back up.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Maxat, your opinion? Maxat, your opinion? Okay, I'll assume she has her hands full at the moment. So here is what I want you to see. And tell me if you see it. I'm not going to say anything yet, but tell me if you see it. Can we see it? Can we see it? Hello?
Yes, you can see.
Yes.
Okay, I want to see if I can make it a little bit darker. Okay, I can make it a little bit deep. Okay. So, did you notice what I drew? Did you notice what I did? Did it create a form of pattern?
Exactly. Yes.
There's a high here. There's a low here. There's a new high.
Mm.
And there's a lower
Yeah.
low. There's a new lower high. Meaning that why I'm favoring the market for a sell is it has created a pattern looking like a descending movement. There's a high,
Yeah.
a low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high. So what I'm expecting is price is going to reject this lower high and then create another lower low. If it creates another low, I'm expecting it to come back to that lower low and retest it and continue. So right now it is retesting the previous lower low to create a new high. If that new high is formed, then I'm looking at a continuation in the market direction for the sell. That's number one. Number two, why I'm most likely going to favor a sell is the fact that at this point, can we see this high?
Yeah.
Market rejected our
Yes.
weekly, market rejected our weekly zone as our resistance. Market found it to be a resistance. So it rejected and started coming down. So there is a very high chance that market will keep dropping until it gets to the next zone. The next zone in this case is this area. There's a high chance. It's a high probability. Now, there is nothing set in stone. I always say this, always follow what market tells you. Don't tell the market what to do. Let your prerogative, your natural disposition in trading be that you are following what the market tells you. And in this case, what the market is saying is, I am likely heading downward. Is that clear? Are we clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So market has
So
already
if your first explanation was that,
go on.
oh, sorry, okay, I didn't know you had not finished talking. No, so the first reason was, like you said, I could call it history, right?
Yes, yes. History,
Mhm.
market came to a point of history and then it pushed it back. The second point is now the creating of that pattern. There's a high, there's a lower high, a low,
Yeah.
then there's a lower high, a lower low, and then the market is now coming back to retest the previous low. If it fully retests it and is unable to break through it, then I will look at it as sell. Does that make sense now? Does that make sense?
Oh, the last point, I didn't get it.
Okay. So market created a high here, right?
Yes.
Created a low. Created a low here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Created a high. I'm considering these weeks as also a high. Created a high here, right? And then created another low here. So let me use this to, this was our high. Market came to this point, right? Creating the low. Came back here to create the high, then came here to create the low. Do you understand up to this point?
Yes.
Now, what we need a valid bearish market is if market comes back to retest this low and is unable to break through this low. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if market
Yes.
comes back to this low, that's this previous low now. If market comes back to it and to break through into this area, but if it just rejects at this point, then I will be looking for my sell around this area. Does that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm only following
Yeah.
pattern that the market is likely going to create. There's a high,
Yeah.
there's a low, there's a lower high, there's a lower low, there's a lower high. Next thing I'm expecting is a rejection of this area. Why? Because of the previous low. So if it does reject it, then I will be looking for my sell. So at this point, I cannot make a decision. I cannot be sure that it has rejected it. There's no decision whatsoever at this point until I see, one, there are wicks around here, like it created here, there are wicks. And then secondly, a variation of any of the three candles that we normally work with. The first one being a railroad pattern, the second one being a pin bar, the third one being an engulfing candle. All of them must close as a bearish candle. So if I'm doing a railroad, the first one can be green, but the next one that follows it must be a red candle. If I'm doing a pin bar, I would prefer to see a red candle. The red candle has to form, lower.
Breaking, we can't hear you anymore. Breaking.
You said?
That is breaking. We couldn't hear you.
Okay. So I was describing the three types of candles, and I was saying that of the three candles, I would prefer that I have a red candle. So if for the first one, I'm having a railroad, then the first one on the railroad can be green, no problem. But the next one that follows it must be red. It has to be a bearish candle. If I'm doing a pin bar, which is something that looks like this, it has to be a red candle that looks like this, but I want a body that is also below my area. And for the third one, the engulfing candle, I also want a red candle, a candle that swallows up the previous one. Am I clear?
Yes.
So all three of them, since I'm looking for a sell, I want to have a red candle. I want to have a bearish candle. I hope that is clear
So
enough.
all the three must be red.
The three of them don't have to happen at the same time. One of these three can be the thing, but the candle that will make me decide must be a red candle.
Okay.
The three of them don't have to happen at the same time, but the candle that will make me decide must be a red candle. Now, any of the three, don't forget, it's any of the three. I can have either my pin bar, I can have my engulfing candle, and I can have the railroad variation. Any of these three, it can be any of the three, but it just must end as a bearish candle kind of thing. Okay? So once I have that, then I can, create my enter for my position for the sell and all of that. Now, the second thing I want us to focus on today is where should be my targets and where should be my stop loss. My target being my take profit area and my stop loss being if market comes to this point, it means it has violated every rule of the sell and it is now, projecting for a buy. If it does that, then I'm done. Okay? Are we together?
Yes.
Okay, good. So for that to happen, my candle has to be red, right? So it means that this is not going to be my entry candle. My candle has to be red. So let's assume my candle is red around here. Let's assume the candle formed as a red candle. Jehovah God, thank you for today. So let's assume this is my entry price. This is where the candle dropped, formed a red and closed around here. So this is my entry. This is my beginning point. So what I'm expected to do is pick up my short tool. In this case, since I'm going for a sell, I'll be looking for the short position tool. Pick it and drop it at the beginning of where your entry price is supposed to be. In this case, this is my entry price, right? So I drop it here. Now, what it will do is it will just give me randomly what my stop loss would be randomly. There's no calculation in this. It will just give it to me randomly what my stop loss would be and what my take profit would be. Now, in this case, it will always give me 1 to 1. That is, I'm risking 1 to make a profit of 1, but that doesn't always work for me. So I don't work with the predefined parameters of the tool. I adjust it to fit what I want it to look like. All right. So in this case, for stop loss, don't forget your stop loss is always above your entry price for a sell. You are saying that if market goes against you, instead of selling, if it begins to show indication for a buy, take me out. I hope I'm clear to that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hope it's not too much information I'm giving us this morning. It's beginning to sound like that in my own ears, but I'm saying
It sounds like what?
Almost too much.
it's beginning to sound as if I'm giving too much information and it may be.
I said almost too much.
You said?
Almost too much, but not too much.
Okay, great, great. So we are saying that since we have a pattern that is market is creating a new high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, we are now saying that if market decides to just go against and create, instead of a lower high, a lower low and a lower high, it now decides to form a new higher high, right? We are saying at that point where it is forming a new higher high, just take me out of the market. I don't want to be in that market anymore. That is, if market violates the pattern, take me out. I'm no more interested in that market. So that's the essence of stop loss. So in this case, where do you think is most appropriate for our stop loss to be? Would it be above the most recent high, or would it be just around a random place?
I think above the most recent
Yeah,
high.
me too.
Good. So where's our most recent high here? Here, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So that means we are not putting it exactly on the high. This is exactly on the high. Can you see it?
Mm,
So it will be slightly above the most recent high, which is this case. Is this clear?
Yeah.
yes.
Now, this is now from me. This is purely me. This is correct. This stop loss is very correct, but this is now me. I mean, the distance between here and here is not too much. So why not just, if it goes above this point, I know market has changed direction completely.
Mm.
Abi, the
Yeah.
distance
Yeah.
here and here is not too much. So if market breaks above this point, I know that market has changed direction completely. So I'm good with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
My stop loss is set. Now for my take profit, there is a systemic way to also look at your take profit. And what is that systemic way? You look at the prevailing pattern. This was a low, created a high, created a low, created a high, created a low, created a high. So all those points of creating a high, creating a low, they are strategic areas where you can take your profit. So in this case, we have something like this. This was a high, right? So I can take my profit around here. This was another point. I can take my profit equally around here. This was another point. I can take my profit equally around here. So what am I doing? Anywhere there is a turnaround is a potential area for my take profit. Anywhere along the market where there is a turnaround, it's a potential point for my take profit. I hope that is clear.
Yes.
But if I also now look at this, what's the point of risking this much only to come and take profit around here? If I continue doing this in my trade, right, it would mean on aggregate, in the end, I'm always going to have losses. So I'm not going to work with any of these points. I'm not going to work with any of these points. Where I'm going to work with would be this point, this area that we picked from the weekly time zone. Does that make sense?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So this zone where you're pointing at right now,
Yes.
isn't it for instance, if you're going to enter multiple trades, right?
Yes.
Isn't it too far for, let's say, TP1?
Good. Good. I'm actually going to get to that point. I will get to that point.
Oh,
But I'm not going to target any of these areas. I'm going to target this area ultimately. So this is where my profit would be. So coming to the question you just asked, if I have one position open, if I'm trading and I have only one position that I'm taking, this is going to be my target. It does not mean that by the time market comes to any of these areas, I cannot take out my profit, secure my profit, or even close the market entirely, close out on that particular position entirely. Please give me a minute. Let me respond. Oh, the person has cut. So it does not mean that if market comes to these areas, I will not take my profit. It just means that they will now become a guide point, a guiding post for me to look out for securing my profit if I want to continue to this point. Areas where I should just take out my profit. I hope that helps.
yes.
So if I'm looking for an area for TP1, then I will look at my previous, movement. Where is the most likely area where price had multiple touch? Where is the area where my price came to and had crazy multiple touch? You have one here, you have one here, you have one here. So there is a likely chance that if I want to just be safe, I will target this first point. Another area that I could target would be this point. Price came here, turned back, came here, turned back, came here, turned back, came here, turned back. So there is also a chance that price could come back here and then turn back again. It doesn't mean that it will not continue. It just means that it will break a little bit on the momentum and probably, just possibly, it will continue upward, or it could just be breaking in momentum and then choosing to continue further, giving other people opportunity to enter into the market. All right. I would also look at it
Yes.
that, okay, we also decided that this was a line, from our weekly time frame, giving us a direction. Giving us a direction to market. So if market comes to that area, it's possible it can slow down and then maybe turn around. So I would also look at this area for a potential take profit. Finally, I would still look at this area now for a potential take profit. So if you look at the market right now, I have 4 different potential areas where I can cash out. But ultimately, this is going to be my target. Is it making sense?
Yes.
So in between, I have areas where I can take my profit intermittently, at intervals. And I also have area where I am targeting ultimately. So for those of us that have small accounts and we can only open one position, guess what? I would only use this as my take profit. It does not mean that if I'm satisfied with the trade, maybe I'm satisfied with the money it has given me, I will close it. I won't wait until it gets here. I can choose to just wait. I can also choose to close the position. But if I'm satisfied with the profit I've made, I don't need it to get to this point. I can close it and find another opportunity to probably enter for the same sell, or even look for another currency pair and enter for a new position. The goal is to make money. The goal is not to be right. Are we following? Are we clear?
Yes.
So the goal is to make money, not to be right. Meaning that if you are satisfied with the profit market has given you, you can close it out. Okay? I hope we understand the concept of stop loss and take profits. Or I should go over it again. Do we understand the concept of take profits, or should I go over it again? Network is bad. Can we hear me? Can we hear me? Are we together?
Yes.
Okay, so I was
We are
asking,
together.
do we understand the stop loss and take profit concept, or should I go over it again?
Well, fine with me. I don't know of the others.
Esther? Okay, so I think I'll just go over it one more time. We'll still repeat the same thing again tomorrow. Because in the end, you are going to always use it.
Yes.
So let's pick maybe another currency pair. Let's see GBP JPY. So looking at GBP JPY, just looking at it here now, what would you want to see in the market? What direction would you favor? Would you favor an uptrend, or would you favor a downtrend?
I'll favor a downtrend.
Can you tell us why?
Well, because it looks like it's going for a retest,
Okay,
or it has gone for a retest, and it looks like there's a continuation, and the EMA is going downwards.
good. So look at this. This was the peak, right? This was the highest point. This was the peak. Market came, broke through it, retested
Broke
it.
through it, there's a retest, and it's continuing.
Exactly, it retested it here. But do you see how long this candle is?
Very long.
So it will not make any sense that you enter for the sell at this point, because this was where market closed. Why? Because of the
Yeah.
long candle we have here. Let me check the number of pips that it gave. This is 200 pips, this candle alone. So it will not make any sense for you to start, enter into the market on this 200 candle, on this 200 pip candle. Why? Why would it not make sense to enter into the market? Now, take a look at it. If I enter from here, my stop loss, my ideal stop loss is above my most recent high, right? Which is this. Check out the number of pips.
Yes.
Almost 400 that I'm risking. Can you see that?
Yes.
So it doesn't make sense for me to be risking 400 pips when I'm not trading $1 million. It doesn't make any logical or technical sense to risk 400 pips when I'm not trading $1 million. So the ideal thing for me to do is leave this market or wait for it to come back and do a proper retest, which was what happened. Market came back and did a retest. It came back and did a retest. Now, it wicked out around here. Can you see the wicking out?
Yes.
But the next candle that formed did not give us any of our three combinations. It is not a railroad. Railroad is equal and opposite candles. This is not equal. It is equally not an engulfing candle. This is not an engulfing candle, is it? Hello? Hello? Hello, can we hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this is not an engulfing candle. So we leave it. And equally, this is not a pin bar, right? Again, we
Yes.
leave. But if you now look at this candle and this candle together, candles together,
Yes.
it forms the same length as this one. It forms the same length. Combination of these two candles form the same length as this one. So I would consider that this movement retest is concluded. On this particular movement, coming back to this area, I will consider that the retest is concluded. Why? Because I have two candles that sort of is equal to this particular one. So the likelihood of what I'm going to see in the market is most likely going to continue to push lower. All right. So my entry for this particular market will be here. My entry for this particular market will be here. My stop loss still remains the same, above the most recent high. In this case, it is almost 300 pips. And when I'm targeting, we've not done the weekly analysis yet, so we don't have a major target yet. But if I'm going to target, I would rather target maybe this area as one or go as far as this area. So I have two areas as my targets. This is one, and this is the second. Is that clear? Are we clear? Are we clear?
Yep. Clear.
Okay, do we have any questions? Do we have any questions?
Sorry, it's been a very hectic morning with my madam here.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. She's the boss.
Esther called me. Her light tripped off.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so she's trying to telling me that when he did the last she didn't know what